Welcome to 2021. Get to know her show for 2021. This is so exciting, you guys. Happy New Year. I hope you all had a wonderful, healthy, happy holiday. I sure know it was a lot different this year. Look at me. I'm out of practice. I need to turn this phone off because we don't want to be interrupted while we are on the show today. So it was a different year, wasn't it? Very, very different. And I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. I think the worst thing that my husband and I did was a couple of days ago, we had probably a half a box of Quality Street chocolates for lunch. So that was interesting, but I'm fully ready to detox now and get back to eating a little healthier. But I hope you guys aren't feeling guilty about all these indulgences, because you know what? We need it. We needed the rest. We needed to recover. Everyone's been through a year that it was not easy for anybody. And so I hope you did take time to just indulge and do the things that you really love and eat the things and drink the things you love. So I'm very excited. Brenda Bedome is sponsoring our show once again for this year, and she's so wonderful. She sent me this nice cozy top for my first show back, and it's really comfy, and it does like a little crisscross thing, nice long sleeves. Brenda's great, and I absolutely love her clothes. And if you haven't had a chance to check her out, you'll want to go to brendabedome.com. And if you want to make a purchase, you can use our very special coupon code, Get to Know Her, which will give you 13% off of your order. So go check her out. I'm so excited today. I keep saying I'm so excited because I really am. Like, I feel a little bit out of practice after not doing this for 1 week. But today on the show, we have Whitney Hammond. And I got to know Whitney or know about her about a year ago, and she was kind enough to interview me on her talk show. Whitney is amazing. She is in the wealth management and wealth preservation business. She's all about the money. She's all about the confidence. I remember one of my first conversations with Whitney was, she said, you know, it's okay for women to make a lot of money. And I was like, okay, I like this. Something so obvious, but something that we really need to hear. So I am excited to hear Whitney's story, how she got to this place working in this male-dominated industry. She's a fascinating person, and she is in our virtual green room right now. So let's bring her on.
Hey,
Whitney, look at you. I like how you just came into screen.
You know what? I am trying to, it's hilarious because I always wonder, like, why can't people forward lives? And here I am sitting here going like, I can't forward this. I forwarded it to Wallet to Wealth, but I can't find my own page to forward it. So it sucks to be me.
Oh, that's okay. It's hard. Yeah, I know this technology stuff. But we look so smooth now. When we did our sound check at noon, we had a few little blips, but maybe that's our thing, because remember, I had big blips when I came on your show.
I don't even remember.
Okay, good. Because I think I was like 5 minutes late to sound check with you, and I felt terrible.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You're not holding it against me. That's good.
We always, it's hilarious because all it's doing is showing groups, and I don't know how to get out of the group thing. So anyways, I'll fiddle with when you're talking.
That's okay. The whole world's going to watch you anyway. We don't need to do extra stuff. You will be attracting many, many people today.
Well, yeah, we do. We get a lot of followers. So actually thousands of them. So it is nice. It is nice when it goes live. And for the life of me, I can't figure it out. So maybe I'll call a lifeline. Yeah. So welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being here. This is so great. Whitney, I'm going to ask you the question I ask all of my guests. The very first question, we want to go all the way back to little Whitney, and I can just picture you with your blonde hair. You're probably so cute. You're still so cute. What did little Whitney want to be when she grew up?
Oh, rich. That's all I
Yeah.
ever wanted. Yeah. Yeah. There
And
was
how old are we talking here when you decided?
two.
Nice
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. That thought never left my mind, and there's a reason for it. So, yeah,
Wow.
that's what I wanted.
Yeah. So of course, inquiring minds want to know the reason. Tell us, was it something imposed on you by your parents, or where? I guess, I mean, when you're two, you're not really hanging out with anybody else but your parents.
Yeah,
Was it?
I felt like I was being held hostage by finance. All I could hear was constant bickering about money and
Right.
shrill voices, and that my dad was really cheap, and it was just this ongoing thing. And the one thing is that I could never decide my mood when I got up in the morning, because I always had to wait until my dad got up. So if he was in an ogre mood, so I was controlled by all this nonsense when I was growing up. This is my vision of it. This is how I view it.
Yes.
I mean, there's five kids in the family, so they may not answer the
Yeah.
same way, but I couldn't stand the control. I couldn't stand feeling held hostage.
Right.
To money, and here we are all these years later, 56 years later, and I'm seeing everybody is held hostage by their money, and the biggest
Right.
thing is fear. But yeah, I wanted out of that. When I
Amazing.
was a child.
So Whitney, it's interesting because we've talked about this, you and I, before, growing up with immigrant parents, right? And so where were your parents from?
Oh, my dad
Or
was born in the Ukraine in 1923. So my mother is from Toronto,
okay.
born and raised in the right in the like right in Toronto, in the
Okay.
like in the old part of Toronto, not all the new stuff.
Yeah.
And so my dad was born in 1923, and I mean that's significant because that was it gives you the kind of the time frame of when he was born. And so after World War II at the end, and before World War I'm sorry, born after World War I, before World War
Yeah.
II, and then of course born just before the Depression, and lived his important years
Wow.
of his life during the Depression.
I
All of
mean,
this,
and was
I came to learn this as an adult. I didn't figure
Yeah,
all of this out when I was listening to all this stuff when I was growing up. And I realized,
of
I mean,
course.
man, he came from, they lost everything. Like they were just blown up and wiped out in the Ukraine, as many of them were. The shopkeepers, the Jews, they were all wiped out. And so when they immigrated to Canada, there was 4 kids. They lost 2. They died. I always told my children they got thrown off the boat because of this memory of
Wow.
coming over on this big boat from the Ukraine, and 2 kids
Yeah.
died. And so when I was a child, it was like, so where did their bodies go? Well, they just went like over the edge,
God. So he came, he came by boat with his mother and father, or?
Yeah, and 2 siblings that they
And
never
how
met.
old was he? Like, how old was he when they came over? Do you know?
Yeah, he was school age, so he would be getting to be close to 5. So when he came
Wow.
to Canada, they
Mhm.
landed in Winnipeg, where many Eastern Europeans, it's a big congregation there, went. And so here again is my vision. They froze because it was
Yeah.
cold in Winnipeg. And 1928, 29.
Oh, it would have been desolate. Nothing.
Flat broke. There's no
Yeah.
money. You're starving. There's no food or anything. So, but I didn't realize that when I was a child.
Of
I
course.
just thought that, nobody loves me because they won't buy me anything. So I had like this whole selfish mentality, not realizing the cold brutalness of what he had to grow up with, with his mom and dad, who never ever recovered from what happened to them. They lost every single thing. They not only lost their home and everything that was in it, and their business, because they always stayed self-employed. They lost their business. They lost 2 of their kids. They died.
Yeah. Wow. Devastating, eh? Like, This is the thing too, not to digress into that conversation, but with COVID, I mean, it is devastating. People are dying. There are some pretty bad things going on. But, you know, when you hear those stories, we are able to stay in our homes and be safe and mask up. And I'm not a fan of the comparisons of, you know, World War One, World War Two times to COVID. Like in my mind, I don't think there can be anything scarier than, you know, going through what your parents went through at that time in life. I mean, even Toronto, my dad came over in 1958, and I remember him saying to me, Monica, when I was in my 20s, you wouldn't even recognize Toronto back then. Like, oh my God, you know, you just, like he said, there was no clubs. There was everybody was home. Like when it was dark, there was nowhere to go. And, you know, he came from Cologne in Germany, like party town, and there was nothing to do. And it was so funny because growing up, he was always so into like where I was going with my friends, clubbing and who's going. And like he was so excited for it. He wasn't the dad that said, you better get your ass home by 11. He was like, go out till 3 a.m. That's fantastic. Yeah. So they have yeah. But
I love when you do your dad's accent.
Oh God. Yeah, it's a bit exaggerated. A lot of my family is like, okay, he didn't really talk like that, but his name was Wolfgang and I got his eyebrows. So I'm allowed. And it's interesting what you said about your parents and your upbringing and then your siblings, right? I just heard recently that when you think about your siblings, we all have different parents. Like the parents my brother grew up with are not the same parents I grew up with because people are different, right? You know how people will say, oh my God, that's your sister. Like you guys are not anything alike, or and a lot of it has to do with that the way we're raised. The same does not apply to each kid.
I love how you say that each child has a different parent, and it really takes a great creative mind to say that. And so I've never heard that before. And you're exactly right. That's exactly what would explain it because we all come away with a different outtake. That, you know, if you my brother and I, it was so cute. We had this heart to heart when we were in our mid-20s because we worked so hard, you know, because we had to live up to my dad's standards. And I remember my brother saying to me, maybe we're getting closer to 30 maybe, and he said, you know, the only reason why I bought that damn house was because of him. And when he said that, because girls talk. There's 4 girls, but 1 boy. Boys don't talk. And when he said that, I was like, wow, that means you're feeling the same thing as me. I had to acquire all of this stuff, you know, because, you know, of what we were taught. Like my, you know, everything was about, you know, with the Eastern European, you know, it was all about stuff. Right, you got to have
So tell us about that. Like what you were taught. Was it like for show? Like we want to make sure our kids have a good education, have stuff. Like what was your upbringing that way?
The big thing was the haves and the have-nots. Okay, so my dad's favorite speech is that the world was divided between the haves and the have-nots. So we were the haves, right? And so even though my dad had, you know, the poor upbringing in the beginning, my dad's parents, my Bob and Dito, they actually, you know, they became established, right? So they didn't suffer forever. They suffered emotionally. But not financially. So my dad had to become very successful, and it was all about the big house and the big car, and everything was like perfect. You'd come up to our house, and I'm telling you, it was perfect at all times. But don't come in through the front door because it's crazy making in there. So it was a crazy household. But my dad used to say to my friends when they came over, do you have a job? You know, they'd be 15. Do you have a job? Do you have a job? You make sure you have a job. You know, my dad was very, very proud about working. So, and I think it is part of our ethnicity is that, you know, we do work hard. I still work hard today, and I'm not going to change that. And my daughters do. I raised them, you know, I see Ukrainian, you work hard. We do better. We are better, you know. So that was just that mentality that we grew up with. So, and it did make it hard because out of all the siblings, not everybody became to, equal success levels. And that does play very hard because I'm not so much sure if it's moms. I'm sure it is in my family, my daughters, because I raised them. I'm the mom and the dad. So they have to live up to my expectations. My thing was I had to live up to my dad's expectations. And I just remember thinking like, I'm going to take you on.
Wow. So you were motivated by him challenging you. Like if he said, yeah, Whitney, that's never going to happen. You're like, damn right, it's going to happen.
I was motivated by anger, and I had to change that. I don't know, into my career, 20 more than that into my career was to learn how to come from a place of grace. So anger is a great motivator, but it's not a great place to stay. And, I'm watching all this stuff on Facebook, all the Facebook stuff and how people do this and that and so on and so forth. I'm telling you, it starts from your attitude. It starts from your attitude and your work ethic. So if you want to be poor and struggle, go ahead and do it, because that's all you'll ever get. Because if that's what's in your head, that's what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. If you want to dominate in a male-dominated industry and make more money than men, make more money than presidents of large companies, then you'll do that. So it's all what's in your mind. It's established in your mind of exactly where you're going to go.
God. So okay. So here we go. Okay, we're 2 years old.
Yeah, we're back.
You're gonna make all this money. So what kind of happened, Whitney? Like you did your public school and your high school thing, and that still stayed in your head. Yeah. How old were you when you had your first job, and what was it?
Oh, well, like I didn't have one.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
No, well, actually, I'm sorry. I had one job. Yeah. No, I was self-employed. So I did.
Okay. But even as a kid in high school, paper routes.
Okay. Paper routes. Yes. I'm sorry. Okay. The Globe and Mail.
Okay. This is your first job.
Yeah. Babysitting and Globe and Mail first. I had that for quite a while. Okay. And I get up, I don't know, I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up and deliver those papers. And I even figured out more ways to make money to delivering those globes. I knew like at a really young age, I was going to go places. Babysitting, hardcore. I still have all that money, by the way, the babysitting money and the newspaper money. I invested. Yeah, I learned how to invest money at a very young age. And I remember I grew up in Port Credit, and I remember walking up to 5 and 10. So that's Dundas and here, Ontario. And I would go up there every time I got $100. And at that time, we used to buy Canada savings bonds. And so I had a slew of those. And as I got older, so when I was young, I had to take my mom with me. So maybe the first ones must have gone in a joint name. I'm not too sure, but I do remember buying many of them way beyond the age of 18. So I guess you must have been able to put them in your own name. But anyways, she used to walk up with me, and so I always buy them. And I got right up to the point where they were 19.25%. And I remember going, oh man, I'm going to work so hard. And I went and I bought 5 of those, $500 back when you were 16, 17 years old.
That's huge.
That was a lot of money. And so I got addicted at a really young age of making money, and it's so cool because you don't have to work, and
I love it.
Money.
Okay, this is so interesting. So I want to know from your perspective, because my upbringing, I worked same paper route babysitting, and my dad said, give me half of your money and I'll invest it for you. So similar, all of my investments started because of that money. So I still have that money too. But yeah, that's so cool. But my dad was he was a good investor. He knew what he was doing. So he would do it for me. And I never took any interest in what's he doing, what's he buying. All I wanted to know was, Dad, how much money did we make? And he'd tell me. So for you, it sounds like you actually did your own research to find out about these savings bonds, or was it something? Were your parents?
You know what?
Teaching you this, or
my mom used to tell me stuff, And
Ah,
but my dad was in financial services. His career was 33 years in financial services. So he was well paid. And
yeah.
he loved his career. I mean, the stories he would tell us at dinner time were all super positive. And I just like couldn't wait to do this for a living. And guess what?
Oh,
Once I got up there and I finally grew up, those first 20 years of your life are the longest years ever because it took forever to get up there.
yeah.
And once I got up there, I was like, okay, I'm going to start my career. And then my dad said, women, no, women do not do this job.
Wow.
My dad was Eastern European, and the women were not worth anything back then. We're not worth anything. In fact, when 4 babies get born and they are girls, the next thing your dad does is he looks in the newspaper and finds a baby boy to adopt, right? Because you got to get a man in the household, right? So women didn't do that job. And what's really funny is that my mom would not let me take typing in high school because I was never going to do her job, according to her, because she was the secretary. So she figured, don't give her the skills. Don't give her the skills and she'll never fall back on it. So I didn't learn how to type. I can type like a madman now, but only because
Wow.
we live on laptops, but I don't have
So,
a course in it.
and your mom was doing this to protect you that you didn't end up going down the same road as her?
Yeah.
Was
Oh my
that
God.
why?
Between the independence of my mom and the staunch Eastern European, like it
Yeah.
was
Your
hilarious.
mom, well, hey, if your
She was a
mom married your
city
dad,
woman.
she's a tough cookie, man.
Plus he was 16 years older than her. So
Wow.
anyhow, so we had those whole family dynamics going on. And so I was royally annoyed that I couldn't do, financial services. So I decided to open up another business, and I did. So my first business was when I was 20, and I did really well. I set up my own multi-level marketing. I figured it all out, and I got salespeople, and I found that the Americans work better. So I fly down to Southern Florida. You put an ad in Broward or Dade County, and people would answer ads because everyone wants to invest. So, anyways, I got salespeople for the warehouse. I was making lots of money, and I was also making lots of money in the real estate because back then we had that big boom that everybody's
Mhm.
going through now. So back then we didn't have to close deals; you could sell your offer. So I was making money. I
So
really
you were actually buying and
by
selling
selling.
real estate
Yep. Yeah. I
at
bought
20.
bought my first house when I was 20 and I moved into it. And then I sold that a year later. So basically what I call flipped it. I got out.
Yeah.
I never washed under a fridge because I never stayed long enough. You just sold the house and you bought another one. So then I bought a really awesome property in Port Credit. And then I just kept going. I bought rental places in Toronto, bought property up in Caledon, just kept doing deals and everything just kept going up in value until 1991 and the shit hit the fan and everything came crumbling down. Maybe it was 90. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
but I've always been a homeowner, and I have four properties now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so I just
Great.
kept, so if anybody ever wonders, like, how do you get rich? It's like just a little bit at a time, and then you wait for opportunities because they always show up, always. I mean, I remember like I have three, I have an X, a double X, and a triple X, right? And so I remember when I was buying out my triple X, I was like, holy shit, I gotta, like, this big house that I live in, I gotta pay him off. How the hell am I gonna do that? And so anyways, you go to the bank, you get the money. And I had this big mortgage, but it was only temporarily because I figured
Yeah.
I just gotta make like one really good deal so I can get
Yeah.
out of this, right? And it just happened to be timing. I leveraged into the stock market. I borrowed a whole bunch of money. Boom, I threw it in there. I watched it go up,
Great.
sold it, paid off my mortgage. Like, that was done.
Wow, amazing, Whitney. So
Yeah.
tell me something when you're working with clients because you've got a real confidence for this, you've got a knowing for it. Do you find a lot of your clients are people who they want to get involved in it too and they want to hear about it, or are they more like I was with my dad, like here's the money and just go make me something?
Yeah.
Like
They just give me
I
the money, and yeah. So
yeah.
So in my practice, so it's almost 25 years I've been doing this, because people always ask me, what account size you work with, really big accounts, rich, da, da. So
Mhm.
I always say that I work on, what the heart of the person, what they really want. So if somebody really wants to get ahead, I will take that time and get them moving. Is that who comes knocking on my door? Not that often. I usually have people coming in with big checks and they're ready to roll, and they're looking for the next step, the next level. So they've already
Mhm.
been through a few levels before me and maxed out on, because I do a lot of deep planning, much more than investments. But for anybody who has a dream, I always say you start with a dream and you get somebody to mentor you, to take you to that spot, and hang around with people that have already done it, right?
Mhm.
So people that already have developed considerable wealth. Because I can tell you, when I moved out of my house, not that I expected anything, but I tell you, I moved out with the shirt on my back and never ever received any handouts from my parents at any time. And that was our generation. I'm born in 1964, and that's just the way it went. Um,
Mhm.
was I pissed about it back then? Royally, royally. Because I figured I should have had this and that and this and that. So I had to go and
Yeah.
do it all myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
you had, how long did you have the multi-level marketing company?
I did that till my daughter, I had a baby in there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I started it when I was pregnant. That's right. I was
Oh,
so big and pregnant,
God.
a big baby. I was so big and pregnant, and I was like banging on doors. I had a pantyhose business, 39 colors and 17 different designers. And so I started off going through office buildings, and if a girl got me 12 orders in her office, I'd give her a free dozen. And so I'm pregnant out to here, and everybody thought I was like, this poor Jewish girl, she's really pregnant. She doesn't have any money. And I spent $3 on my dresses. I bought them at Bargain Harold's. And yeah,
I love Bargain Heralds.
and I never did this on purpose. It
Wow.
just was the way. I mean, of course I bought my dresses at Bargain Harold's. Who didn't buy their dresses at Bargain Harold's? That was my mentality. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
I moved out of that. But I actually sold everything off when I was 23.
Okay.
And the reason was because I felt that I didn't know my daughter, because I was working a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, what was the line called? What was the pantyhose line called?
Sheer Fantasy. That's what I named it. So it's
Oh,
SHEER, Sheer Fantasy. And I was buying them from Duplex in Montreal. So
wow.
they're under brands. You just make a deal with I'm not going to follow the pack. I'm going to lead it.
Yeah, I
Yes, no,
love
we
it.
both made lots of money. Yeah, so it all worked out.
When's your birthday? What sign are you?
I'm right on the cusp. I'm a July 22nd, so I'm a Cancer Leo.
Yeah.
So I like to say
Okay.
that the Cancer side of me softens out the Leo side, because look out, if I was a full Leo.
That's so funny. I'm a full Leo. I was like, you must have Leo. You got the mane, everything. So that's so great, Whitney. So after when you sold off the MLM, then you finally took that leap into the finance industry, or was there
Uh,
something else in
I ran
between?
I ran a couple of I started some other businesses. So one of them was
Yeah.
journalism, and I had a catering business. So I was doing offsite catering, and that was really, really busy. And then wham, bam, I ended up in a women's shelter because Double X was crazy. And
Wow.
so that is where the financial business was born, because the seed was planted. I had a moment of clarity when I ended up so Halton Women's Place. I ended up in Halton Women's Place,
Yeah.
and I had a moment of clarity. It's like, hey, how does somebody like me end up here? Like, seriously, like I'm married to like a bad person. And by the way, I ended up with a lifetime restraining order. Like, this dude was arrested, put in jail, and I never saw him again. Neither did my children. So how does somebody like me, who's wheeling, dealing, got all sorts of cool ideas, knows how to do stuff, knows how to lead a pack. Like, I had like
Yeah.
followers and friends, and like I was like your German dad, like I knew how
Yeah.
to party. I did. And so how does somebody end up like that? And I realized that, holy shit, you know what? I am still held hostage by money. I'm held hostage by, the money from my mom and dad, the whole mentality. And then, these marriages and the vulnerability because I'm raising children. So I can't go out and be the president of the TD Bank because I got to be somewhat responsible here in this household. And so there's a vulnerability. And you end up, this guy that I was with really, he got me into a world where all of my fun was gone, all of my lifelines and my friends, and I was isolated. Like I didn't even tell anybody
Oh,
that there was
wow.
crazy making going on. So then I realized that this, I'm holding myself hostage through finance. So I'm going to bust out of this. So, and I vowed that I'm going to, at that point it was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I am going to bust out of this and start something. And I am going to teach other women that they don't have to live this way. And so I went out and I got all my education and my licensing and my charter, did everything, and started my business, and it just took off like a rocket. I was, and so that idiot was gone. I was making money hand over fist, and I built my company and worked really hard at it. So, and the thing is that, so what I find is that it doesn't matter what walk of life, whether you're affluent or middle class, everyone's always, we're all held hostage by our money. It doesn't matter whether we're male or female, we're always worried about the damn money. The people that are poor, I never see those ones. They don't come in. I think they spend all their money, they're okay, they're happy with it, right? So, and they never seem to have the, like, it's like a golden horseshoe. Something shows up when it just needs to, right? It's like, yes, I don't live in that life. Like maybe my next life I'll sign up for that one, but everything for me was blood, sweat, and tears. But my job is to help, and I do make people stop feeling like that, because I've got all the skills, and I have some special softwares that I've come up with that I'm able to do trajectories where I can figure out exactly where you are at what stage of life and what you can do. And basically what usually ends up happening, we come up with a whole bunch of tax and estate issues. And so my job is never ending. And so I bring comfort. That's what I do. I bring comfort. But what's kind of cool is probably into your next question.
Yeah.
Is, 27 years later, Wallet to Wealth was born. And so everything came full circle.
I love the name.
Yeah.
It's so great.
It's just, it all came together, and through, so I was going to do this as I swore to God and the universe that I was going to do this thing to help. And so my career was all about it. And you reach a spot, as they say, the pinnacle, and it's time to give back. And the whole thing came out of, a brand video that my daughter, she's a film producer, filmmaker. So she produces and she does brand stories. So she was able to, it was 2 years ago, we were in Los Cabos and we were going to shoot this brand video in Los Cabos, and it was going to be great. And it was going to have all this scenery. And I, who never gets sick, was constantly sick. So if you go back to my video 2 years ago, I was all like, my voice was way down here, and I had pink eye, and all kinds of stuff kept coming up. I remember I had to get this doctor to give me a shot in the butt to like, can you like make this work? Because I got to get this video done. I got this girl with a camera yelling at me. And so there was a lot of tears, because I'm like, at her, and she's like, Mom, and she's crying. And out of this disaster, the most beautiful thing was born, and it's called From Wallet to Wealth, and it's been a massive success. So year one, we raised $16,000 for Halton Women's Place, or sorry, 15,000. And then this year we raised the 32,000, and we've created a huge community. Right now we're over 1,200 females, and we really, really have each other's backs and shine a spotlight on them. And, I want women to win. I want women to stand up. I want women to ask for bigger paychecks. We're so much more. We are so much more, and not to be ashamed of saying, I want to make this wealth. I want to have my own net worth. I want to have my own bank account, because at the end of the day, sometimes, we lose our spouse, something happens, and then you're falling back on nothing, or trying to divorce somebody for half of their money, kind of thing. You know what? Just go out and make our own, and don't be afraid of the numbers. Like, don't be afraid to say, I want to make $1 million. I made $1.8 million last year. I can't even remember when I crossed over $1 million. I swear I don't know. It was that long ago.
Is it true what they say, the first million's the hardest?
I think, you know what, I can't remember what year it was, but I remember pedaling really hard, going, oh, I gotta break through this. I got to break through this. I got to break through this. And I should dig back into my records to find out exactly what year that was. But once you hit it, then you don't go back. Just keep moving forward. Like, I'm going for 10 now. So so I'll let you know, like, is the 10 harder to get to than the 1? I'm thinking that the first one might be the most difficult. But once you get the systems in place, and again, you have to want it, right?
Yeah.
If you want it, it'll come. Blood, sweat, and tears. It will come.
Oh, Whitney, that is so inspiring. I love it.
And then to make that on a regular basis, right? Then there's all sorts of cool things you can do. And my favorite thing is charity. Like, I love to be able to, like, cut off a check to Boxer Rescue. I don't know how much money I've given them. I don't care. Sheridan College, I've given them tons of money over the years, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because I give money to the theater program, because I started, I don't know when, 15 years ago or something, I started with them, because I would go to their theater and I would see all these fabulous, talented, creative people, and they were gay, and they said that their parents wouldn't come and visit them because they were gay. And I'm like, you've got to be on your tree. So where do you get money from? And they're like, yeah, we're broke. We're all broke. So I thought, okay, there's a great avenue to start giving money, so that they can get scholarships or whatever. I don't even care, whatever it is that they need. So helping those who need help.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I think, that's such a good, obviously we want to make money for ourselves and live a great lifestyle, but what an amazing reason to want to make more money than you could ever spend in a lifetime, if not to help your community. And, like you said, there you were, you ended up at Halton Women's Place. Never in a million years did you think you'd be there. And there, everything was set up because other people like you before you had come forward, volunteered, donated money, created this safe space for women. So I think it's amazing that you give back. And that's one of the things I just love about you, Whitney. I think you're so community focused, and it's great. Like, we need more women like you. And this is one of the reasons we need women to make a shitload of money, as you would say, because women, we are that way. We're nurturing. We want to give back. And it is nothing to be ashamed of to want to give, but you have to give from a cup that's full, not empty. Right. So I love,
and I think it's really important too that, women, put aside some money for themselves on a regular basis. It's about being responsible. It's about owning your own future. It's about your own self-esteem. I mean, who wants to go and ask daddy for some money to buy a car when you can buy your own car? And I know that families do things together, and that's completely fine. And I'm definitely all for the family. But I think it's really important that when families are building wealth together, that they're equally involved in that planning process. I can assure you, I have a lot of affluent males, very wealthy males, that don't even bring their wives in for the appointment, and I can only imagine how they feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
and we start getting widowed in our mid 50s. And so when stuff like that happens and you're not even aware of how to do things,
Hmm.
it's just not, it just sets you up for more vulnerability in your life. We've had enough.
Right.
Who do they come after? Women. We're the
Yeah.
ones that are being beaten, raped, and cheated. I mean, I
Hmm.
watched my next door neighbor get cheated for money out of a guy, single, wonderful woman. So
Hmm.
it's just so important to develop our own, get an education, raise your children, find your niche. You're bigger and better than this. And if
Hmm.
charity work is your charity, then by all means do the charity work, because there's nothing more fulfilling than really helping another person.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, this is so great. And it's true. And I think also, as you know, when you are in a relationship, it's so important to really, the both of you know where things stand, where everything is, so like you said, if one goes before the other, there's no mystery. And I'm so happy because my parents were always, I grew up with that. They knew each other's stuff. Like it all was one, my dad never held anything back from my mom. My mom didn't hold back from my dad. And, but a lot of people were raised with parents like that. And then, like you said, history can repeat itself, right? So
It does.
it's,
It does.
yeah. And it doesn't really have, we're in a generation now where women are making their own financial decisions. They are moving forward in a maybe a stronger, more powerful way than their moms or their grandmothers. But really, if it's not happening in your own family, it's sometimes is still uncomfortable to do it because you're like, but this is what I grew up with. So how am
Yeah.
I going to go and do this now? Like, yeah, it's learned behavior. So that's another thing, Whitney, you're helping women to change that, like to unlearn.
Yeah.
And
That's what life is.
you're, yeah.
That's what life is. We unlearn the lessons that we were taught. But
Yeah.
the one thing that I'd like to say is, and I wish
Mhm.
I knew this at a younger age,
Yeah.
this is my life. This
Mm.
this is who I am. This is my life. And I only wish that I could have said that 20 years ago and ricocheted off all the thoughts and the negativity and the self-doubt and the all the nonsense that I created. I mean, I love what I learned from X, double X, and triple X. I really do. But I didn't
I
need
love that you call your ex-husbands. So,
I didn't need any of that.
no.
Because I didn't have this is me. I had,
Yeah.
daddy wanted the girls to go and get married to some rich dude and he was going to take care of us. And yeah, was he ever going to take care of us? It was all about control and taking us down. So,
Yeah.
really a good place to be. And I'm so excited for the millennials today because they don't put up with any of that nonsense. And
Yeah.
the guys aren't like that. The guys are awesome. So I love it.
Right.
I mean, you can be gay, you can be bisexual, you can change your sex, you can do whatever you want. And you know
Yeah.
what? We still love you. You can be
Yeah.
this is your life. It's your
That's
show.
right.
Do it.
Yeah, and thank goodness the world's going that way. And you are so right. I mean, when I look back to my upbringing, I mean, my dad's passed away. I'm still a daddy's girl, and I loved meeting his expectations, and I loved it all. Even if he wasn't an expert in something, I still thought he knew everything. Like I was kind of naive and I was in this bliss and I really, really loved him. And since he's passed away, Whitney, it's such a strange feeling. It's like I'm finally getting to know who I am. It's so weird. It's like I can't even describe it, but
Yeah.
so much of it was living up to my father and what he wanted. And
Yeah.
that,
Well, because
yeah.
they determine the mood. They,
Yeah, they
they walk in
do.
the room. It doesn't matter what's going on in the room. You could be washing the dishes, but he's not thinking about washing the dishes. So
Yeah.
it's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
It's the bull in the china shop, and we serve and we please, and we do love to mentor and love. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing better in the world than being in love with somebody and really loving, a parent and honoring them. It's just awesome. And as women, that's what we do, and that's what we give of ourselves, and that's a great place to be. So don't lose it, but at the same time getting to know who we are, and this is our life, and your dad, I'm sure, absolutely loves you. I swear it must have been. Remember, I was telling you, like, it must have been him in my house the other night, back before we did the thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like something smashed in my house, and there was no broken glass. And I'm like, now who's here? Because I always have ghosts visiting. And then I'm talking to you, and it's like, oh, I wonder if it was your dad. And then you did his voice,
the Wolfgang voice. Yeah, you're like, yeah, that was him.
What are you always like? What? A woman in finance who flies an airplane?
Yes.
Got to see.
I know. And I don't know if you remember this, Whitney, but it was so crazy because you had reached out to me to do your talk show. And you said, are you available on Tuesday, November 23rd? And right away I went, oh no, I can't. That's the anniversary of my dad's death. And then all I heard in my head was, are you crazy? This woman is good with the money, and she flies an airplane. You're going to talk to her. And I'm like, this is perfect. It's a gift for the whole family. So there was not a better day I could have talked to you. It was amazing.
I love your dad. That's so cool.
Yeah, you would have loved him. He would have been like close talker and asking you 1,000 questions about investments, and then he'd also try to like outdo you. Like he'd be like, I realize you've been doing this for 30 years, but let me give you my opinion, right? And then he'd give you, he'd want you to have a revelation, something you never ever thought of in a million years.
Hey, that's good. That's a good thing. I'm ready for ideas. I have to say, Monica, I love your soul. Like you're just so you. Like that's what I admire about you. Is like, I mean, Monica doesn't make any excuses for who she is. She's just her, and you just go with it. And you come up with such creative ideas in your business. Like it's so cool, and also too the sustainability. Like I love people that own sustainable businesses that have been around for like 20 years, because it just shows the dedication and passion. You're not hopping. You're going to do this for another 20 years and you'll just make it better.
Thank you. Oh my God. That means so much coming from you. I love hardworking. Well, we're not European, but we're descendants of, we're immigrant kids.
We're immigrant kids. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And probably at some time in history, we were at the opposite sides of the tracks too, eh? So
yes, exactly.
And it's so nice that all of that stuff can be like buried and passed. It's got nothing to do with us.
Yeah, it's all in the lineage. It's all back there.
Yeah.
Oh, Whitney, this has been amazing. I mean, we went from your childhood to finances to advice to the ghost of Wolfgang. Like, this is the best interview. You're so now your dad. I'm assuming your dad passed away as well.
Mm-hmm.
When did he?
16 years ago.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he died at 80. So yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah, a lot of magical things happened after he died, and I often wondered because I mean there was a path that opened up for me that just like I just moved so much more forward after that.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I had a hell of a talk with him when he was on life support. I got into the hospital and I had 45 minutes hardcore, all by myself. And I swear, so I don't have any voodoo education or anything like that, but I can tell you there's some weird shit that goes down. And people like visiting me when they're not alive.
Wow. Amazing. And is your mom? Yeah, that's a whole other podcast. And is your mom still alive?
Yeah. My mom is 82. So yeah, don't forget they're 16 years apart. And
yes, that's right. I was just thinking our moms are probably the same age. My mom will be 82 this year. So
yeah.
Wow. And your mom grew up in Toronto.
She's a city girl.
Okay, because my mom did as well. Okay. What high school did she go to? Do you know?
Oh my God, something collegiate. I'd have to ask her.
Riverdale?
I'll ask her and I'll text you.
Okay. Yeah. Because they might have been school.
So where did your mom live?
She grew up at Pape and Danforth. on a street called Woody Crest, and she used to go to the Motorama after school for her milkshakes.
Okay, because my mom was near Old Weston Road and St. Clair.
Okay, so different part of town, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, the south end. The south
end. That's so cool. I love it.
Well, good.
Okay, my love. So I'm going to invite you to an Instagram after party. So if you want to hang tight in the back room, I'm going to say goodbye to you on screen, but stay on here, and then I will guide you through the Instagram. Thank you, Whitney. You're friggin' amazing, man.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining today. Whitney is awesome. What an inspiring conversation, and what a story. I didn't know all the details of her story, and I feel really, really grateful and honored that she shared so deeply with us today. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. And I will remind you again to go and visit Brenda Badome at brendabadome.com. Use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 13% off of your order. Get yourself a cozy little top like this. And like I say, you may be on screen, but at least from the waist up, we want to look great and be comfy. And Brenda has all those things for you. Take care. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, and we cannot wait to see you next week with another inspiring woman on the Get to Know Her show. Bye for now.